Yo, evening lads. Evening lads, how we all keeping? How are we doing? How's our Tuesday evening going? Let's get a few people in the chat. Let's see how this is going to go. I kind of streamed myself ragged last week. Well, I done one New Year's Day, or no, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and the New Year's Eve one went 2 hours. So I was taking a break for a few days. But I got back into it today, recorded a load of videos last night, and I've just figured out, lads, right? I've just figured out how to upload them in bulk and not have to upload them as in like individually one by one. So I might start doing bulk uploading in future. Before, what I used to do was I used to like make the video, upload, edit it, and then I'd upload them like set times because I just didn't know how to do it in bulk. Your boy figured out how to do it in bulk. So I'm a happy guy. I got YouTube working out well now. Right, let's get into it. Let's have a look at the chat. We got a few people in. How many we got in the building? 10 people. So we get a few people in. You're big up to Nick every single time. Big up G-Man in the chat. I'm laid up like a big girl's blouse. The whole house have the flu. Ah, man. Our flu is not nice. Flu is what it is. It's not nice. Smash the like button on the way in. Man, big up to Nick. Hail him every single time. Hashtag G-Man's Rocks. Of course. Every time you got to get that in there. Good evening. Big up to Rich G-Man. Big up. Hashtag G-Man's Rocks. You got to get that in there, lads. It doesn't have G-Man's Rocks. I don't know. The mugs even have it now. And hit the like button on the way in. I see your other question. I'll get to that in a sec. Just big up a few of the guys. Big up to Dean. You have a stupid class on now. Catch me on the next live. Man, whenever, man. Glad you locked in. Big up to you, man. Yui 8918 or 8918. Big up. Take Babic wood. I clicked on the wrong comment, Alex. What's up, everyone in the chat? Will Stokes, big up. Man, big up. Oh shit, Tommy, big up every single time. I had the richest comment just there before I talk about Fury and AJ. Right. I've seen the videos come up in my sub feed, but I haven't watched it. I seen Babic, talking about pricey. Right. I'm going to give you my 2 cents on that now in a sec, right? I reckon Alan Babic, I wouldn't be shocked if they put him in there with Price, but I reckon they're trying to do Babic versus Allen. I know Dave Allen's retired, but I don't follow him on Instagram, but I think it was Adele who left it in one of my chats that Dave Allen's been posting, I think, training footage or hinting at the possibility of a comeback. So you would imagine that Eddie Hearn is saying, look, maybe Alan Babic is there. Maybe he's there. Maybe he's good to go. And maybe Dave Allen is thinking, do you know what? I've made a bit of money, but I'll make it a little bit more. So I reckon that's the fight they're looking to do for Babic next. In terms of David Price, well, David Price definitely, he strikes me as someone who does not like it when you put it on him. So like if you see fighters who put it on David Price, like Chisora style, he tends to capitulate really quickly. Like, do you ever notice that about Pricey when you see him in there and people are really putting it on him? I know, what was the guy's name? Oh, the fat steroid junkie. What was his name? His name escapes me. The fat steroid junkie who knocked him out into Erkan Tepa. I only done the WTF video about Pricey a few months ago. Yeah, Tepa. Right? Now to be fair, he was juiced up to the eyeball. He was juiced up to the high heaven in that fight. And he fought like someone who was juiced. But he was able to put it on Pricey, pressure him. Although Tepa was 6'5". He looked a lot shorter, but he was 6'5". He was able to pressure Pricey. Chisora pressure Pricey. Who else? Who else pressured him? What was the guy's name? Tony Thompson. He pressured him. Anyone who seems to pressure Pricey. Povetkin didn't really pressure him, to be fair. Povetkin was just looking for counters. And he ended up catching them. But anyone who really puts it on Pricey, he seems to wither away fair. And even if you don't beat him, like look at Sakalowski when Sakalowski was getting close to Dave Price. He was really looking on edge when Cash Ali. Now, right, lads, you would not pick Cash Ali to beat Alan Babic. But whenever KHAV got close to David Price, there was moments in that fight where he was looking a bit all at sea. So Pricey, although if he can keep him away with a jab, and like he looked like Larry Holmes when he fought Dave Allen. Dave Allen is not good he's not a good pressure fighter at all. He throws 5 punches around. You could easily beat, if you have any way good boxing skills, you could beat Dave Allen on the jab. And I'm not talking about Dave Allen now. I'm talking about Dave Allen of 3 or 4 years ago, before he was always taking beatings, before he took massive beatings. You could always outbox that guy. He throws about, just don't fight him in the pocket and you're fine. You know, the guy throws about 5 punches around. So you could easily get to him like that. A big up to Will, yeah, it was Tepper. I just couldn't think of his name. I knew it was a German guy, and I knew he's done absolutely nothing since he fought. I just couldn't think of it. I remember he got, lads, he was on series. Like, people talk about Gerwen Miller. I mean, like, he was Lucas Brown pickup. He was like the precursor to Gerwen Miller, because he was on all kind. I think, yeah, it was a Miller. He was like the precursor to Gerwen Miller. In fact, actually, I want to just go and check his box rec. Not Gerwen Miller, Erkan Tepe. I'm just curious, has that guy done anything since he lost to David Price? Because I remember people were bigging him up after that. I remember people were saying after, like, this is obviously before he tested positive, that they were saying they don't want to see Anthony Joshua fighting him just yet because it might be too dangerous. Because he was building a name for himself. He absolutely wrecked Martin Rogan's face. Anyone ever seen that knockout? You should go and see it. Martin Rogan versus Erkan Tepe. What a knockout. I mean, he literally smashed Martin Rogan's face to pieces. What's Tepe done? Jeez, he's fighting four rounders now. Jesus, times are tough. 38 years old. Jesus, knocked out by Hellenius, beaten by Vac, lost a hammer. Jesus, people. That's what happens when you're sober, or when you're clean, sober. That's what happens when you go clean. But I remember the stories about him. I remember the EBU. Was it the EBU? No, the EBU wanted to drug test him with, like, I forget what it was, but was it the German agency didn't want to or something? Like, there was a raid on his house. That's how bad it was. There was literally a raid on his house. There was that much, steroids and stuff like that. And Erkan Tepe, people say Gerwen Miller's not body beautiful. I mean, lads, go back and watch Pricey versus Tepe. He was like, he fought like someone who was on PEDs. But if you had said to the average Joe who never really watched much boxing, and you said he was on steroids in that fight, they would have been like, what the? No way. He did. Seriously. Crazy. But yeah, that was a funny little one. Erkan Tepe. He had his 5 minutes of fame. Even Joe Stunner, hashtag G-Man's Rocks, look like there's no boxing until February. No boxing in the UK, Joe. Yeah. But I think I said it in one of my videos last night. January is normally a slow month anyway. In UK boxing and in boxing in general, it's normally a slow month. Though I think they should have stopped boxing in the UK. I mean, sports like darts are still going ahead. Football is still going ahead. Obviously, they shouldn't have, realistically. But, boxing in the UK, certainly for the month of January, they never seem to do much. I mean, do you remember Eddie Hearn's Matchroom show a couple of years ago, where he had it was where Sergio Garcia beat the crap out of Ted Cheeseman? That was the start of February. I think it was like the 10th or something of February. That was the first show they did that year. So they really don't put much on. Looking at BoxRec here, there's not really much happening in general for the month of January, unless I'm missing something. There never normally is much in January anyway. You might get one big fight or one kind of semi-big fight, but there never really is. There's never really any big fights. Like, I'm just looking on BoxRec at some of the dates we have here coming up. There's not really any kind of fights that really pull at your heartstrings or anything like that. Obviously, Sergey Kovalev versus Melikuziev. I mean, that is just, that's going to be a barn burner. Obviously, Plant Truax. That's not a great fight now, to be fair, but still, it's a fight nonetheless. I'll cover it. I've watched Kate Plant a few times. They're all right fights. And then obviously, we're going to get more fight announcements. Like Eddie Hearn's not just going to sit by and let, the month of January go by without anything. The month of January, is fairly quiet anyway. So, look, it's not the end of the world. Should they have done it? Probably not. But we were going to get Avanesian versus Kelly. That really would have been the height of it. So, look, no, they shouldn't have done it. Boxing is a sport at the end of the day. But January is a slow month anyway. So, it's not like we're really going to notice it too much. It'd be different if they done it like during the summer, where we have loads of fights going. That'd be different, or like kind of March, April time. Then you'd be like, it'd be like last year, where literally views went to a peak and then they skyrocketed. I'll bring the camera in. Yeah, then they literally skyrocketed down. So it's not the end of the world. Big up to Broken Nose Boxing. Big up to Chris. Check out his channel, lads, if you haven't already. It's getting to 1,000. Was listening to the Blind Boy podcast. Haha. Yeah. Now time for G-Man. Having a straight. That Blind Boy, I don't know if you're a fan of his, but I sure as hell ain't. I think the guy is an absolute idiot. I think the guy is a fool. If you like him, sorry, but I think the guy is absolute. The guy, yeah, I don't like him. I'm not gonna swear. Try not to anyway. I might say the odd one, but I'm not gonna go on rants. And I would rant about him, and I have ranted about him on this channel before, live streams, when someone mentioned him. The guy is, yeah, we'll leave it there. You think Babic would knock out Price in 5 or 6 rounds? Yeah, Pricey would. I think he'd capitulate fairly quick, man. Same time about Price. He has man. Pricey had so much. I mean, remember that WTF video I did on Pricey? And I'm thinking, because we're in January, I've got up here. I was going back and forth between two. I think I know who I'm going to do next in terms of who I'm thinking of. Can versus Brook. Oh man. You got Can. Oh no, you just have Can. Can versus Brook. Does anyone want to see that? Does anyone want to see that fight at all? Can versus Brook at this stage. I mean, like Kell Brook. I think Kell Brook is near the end, and like, what the fuck happened to Amir Khan? There you go, lads. Big up to Darren. Alan Babic versus Dave Allen. Yeah, man. I don't see that going well for Dave Allen. I originally didn't think Dave Allen would come back. I'm starting to think more now he will. I'm starting to think more so now he will. I don't want to see him come back. I don't want to see him come back at all. Unless he's going to give us what we wanted to fight Christopher Lovejoy. Christopher One-Shot Lovejoy. Do you remember him? Unless he wants to come back. Because I want to see how... I just want to see how shit Christopher Lovejoy is. Has any of you ever seen any of the training footage you post on Instagram? Oh my God, lads. He can't throw a straight right hand. He can't throw a straight right hand. He's throwing little punch in the back, and the lad's sweating. The lad's pure. It looks like there's no point him drinking water. It looks like it's going to pour straight back out of him. Lovejoy. Now, that's a chancer if ever I seen it. That's a lad. Man, if we'd seen that fight, that would have been the funniest thing. I don't know, ever seen if we saw that fight back in October. Christopher Lovejoy versus Allen. The ultimate chancer. Now, you'd be surprised if Allen comes back. You know what, Will? I was be inclined to agree with you at one stage, but when I see him, you see, I don't know what it is about certain boxers, and I've had this myself as well, where I've been like, I'm serious this time when I say I'm done with it, where I've been like, and I think it's just the boxer thing, where it's like you're in the gym for so long, boxing gym, and then you kind of get to a point where, well, me anyway, I was like, I'm not amazing, I'm not that good, so I'm doing, and I prefer my normal trainer, so I'd be like, no, I'll call it quits. Then maybe I'll just happen to hit a bag or something at home or something like that. And then I'm just like, man, I wish I was back in the gym. I mean, lest we forget, right? Remember, can't think of his name now. Nick Blackwell. remember Nick Blackwell? He suffered like a bleed in the brain, made a recovery, and then for reasons I don't know, decided to go in and have a spar. And obviously he was very lucky the second time, but he was lucky he was lucky the second time to get away with it. Like, he was lucky in period to get away with it. But that is what some of these guys are like. You take him out of that, they need to be taken out of that environment completely, I think. Because Dave Allen, I'm sure, will go in, do a bit of body spar and hit the bag and think, you know what, I can still do this. But maybe because people forget, people are quick to forget. Like, and what I mean by that is, I mean, maybe he'd forget that, you know, I was in there with Usyk and I got rocked. He might just think maybe that's just Usyk. And I'm sure Eddie Hearn would be perfectly happy to put Babic versus Allen on. I didn't even read that Eddie Hearn got promoted of the year 2020. I'll give him the fight camp was good. He put on Babic and White. Got AJ out. Bob Arum put on some decent shows as well. Eddie Hearn, although Al Heyman really, those PBC, well, he's not officially a promoter, but those PBC shows were great. You want to see how Babic reacts getting hit by a big puncher like Price. Well, here's one thing I'll say about Price versus Babic. I know Pricey doesn't like it when guys put it on him and they really, really pressure him. But Pricey is a good jab when he uses it. Babic is there to be hit. He's not exactly difficult to hit. You know? He isn't. It's just that the guys he's been fighting lately, I mean, he fought Winters, Niall Kennedy. Niall Kennedy likes me. Yeah, he's a big fan of DJ. Yeah, loves me. And and Tom Little. Right? Not great opposition. Winters, for the first like 20 seconds, was kind of meh, moving a bit, confusing Babic. Then he just got overwhelmed. Kennedy didn't train properly, facts. And, you know, at the end, it just wasn't good enough. And Tom Little is just beyond shot at this stage. So they were all able to have little fleeting moments in there where they were able to tag Babic. Babic as well overwhelmed a lot of them. Like, you look at Kennedy, he was more overwhelmed than he was hurt by Babic. So be interesting. Be interesting. You can't see Allen coming back. You'd be surprised. Oh, look at that. Prime Eddie Heyman, prime Nick Webb versus prime Allen. Prime Nick Webb versus Allen. Man, that was a knockout and a half. For me, Babic Price. For me, Babic Price is the fight for Babic. Almost all the questions be answered. Exactly. Price is a big heavyweight, as you can get those days, as you can get these days, bow height weights, bow height wise and weight wise, he hits like an absolute truck. Yeah, and think of it like this: imagine Pricey, God forbid, imagine Pricey gets the win. Who would they put him in there with next? You know, and I'm sure Pricey would. You see, Pricey, in my opinion, one of the reasons why Pricey, well, not being, look, Pricey is good from a certain point of view. He can jab, he can fight at long range. Is he the most athletic heavyweight? No. Big up to Ra, by the way. Up before I say a big up to Liamo, hashtag Gman's rocks, of course, of course. But is he the most athletic? No. Is he the fastest? No. Is he, what's the word? Is he the most durable? No. But he has attributes. He can punch. He can keep it at long range. He can do a lot of things in there. So he can do a lot of things in there. One of the biggest issues for him is that he takes fights when he really shouldn't on short notice. In the case of when he fought Kuzman, that was a fight that he really could have won if he had actually trained properly. Not he didn't train properly, but he was injured. You know, so he took that fight with an injury. He was doing well in that. I thought he was winning the fight. I actually remember watching that fight live. And when they stopped the fight, I think they stopped the fight after 4 rounds. I thought they were retiring. It's like Price nothing really happened to him in that fight. Why are you pulling them out? And that fight was a winnable fight for Pricey, but he took it with an injury. He took it with notice. So he brings a lot of these losses on himself by doing little silly things like that. But if Pricey took a fight with Alan Babic and he won, man, the Povetkin rematch, Joe Stunner would be, yeah, exactly. We have Kovalev versus Babic. That's going to be it. I can't believe Sergey Kovalev is taking that fight. I really can't. Yeah, now that's the fight we all want to see. Tepa versus Jarrell Miller for the undisputed juice head title. You would have to give it to Miller, wouldn't you? You have to give the edge to Miller. He's got more exposure. Yeah, because Tepper, you can tell he's not been on the juice the last few years. He's been losing and getting knocked out. But Miller, God, I'm sure it's in America. In fact, I'm pretty much guaranteed that fight was in America. Give me a second, I'll double check. Pretty much guaranteed that fight's happening in America, lads. No, it's in Moscow. No, it is. It's on BoxRec anyway. That is listed as being in. It's in its town in Moscow. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. It's in Moscow, though. Oh, there's a shout. Hrgovic versus Molina has a good measuring stick since Hrgovic got him out in 4, but didn't look great doing so. Molina. I reckon Molina would go early. Not because Babic is better than Hrgovic in that sense, but Molina's very questionable heart. If someone really puts it on him, I'd say it wouldn't be long before he capitulates. You know, and I reckon if Babic put it on him, Molina, I don't really want to see Molina in any of these fights because, as I said, he's really, the only thing he ever showed heart was against Wilder. I mean, this is a man who got knocked out and around by Areola. Chris Areola. Seriously. No. So I wouldn't really want to see it personally, but I reckon he'd get him out of there earlier. Babic has built up a cult. In many ways, that's one of the reasons why it'd be interesting to see him versus Allen, because Allen has that cult. And it's almost like the cult of Dave Allen have now gone on to the cult of Alan Babic. It's weird. Big up to Michael Van Gerwen. Who do you have on Kovalev versus bektemir Malikuziak? I don't know yet. I watched a couple of Malikuziak's amateur fights. He looks all right, man. He does. He looks good. Kovalev is a known quantity. You know what you're going to get with him. Although saying that the Yard win is not as good as it once was in terms of what Yard's gone on to do, in terms of losing to Lyndon Arthurs. You gave me a $5 and said, no, I'm not saying literally do that, but if you gave me a $5 right now and said, put a bet down, I would, irrespective of the odds, I just go, I would go with Malikuziak. Irrespective of the odds, I would go with Malikuziak. But I wouldn't be it. I'm not at all. I want to have a look at a few more things. It's just the Kovalev. I don't know how bad he's degraded or aged, and it's a weird one. Frank had a card planned mid-February. Hopefully it goes ahead, but I imagine it's going to be announced for February and March. No. We ain't thinking like that. We're going to keep the ball rolling, lads. We're not going to do that. Let's hope we get boxing back in the month of Feb in the UK anyway. Well, Eddie Hearn could probably get away with staging him in abroad, but yeah. Fish eyes. Abroad to him is probably Ireland. Yeah, said the UK true or slow. Yeah. You know, Joe, like they're slow months anyway. January and February. Well, not February to an extent, but January is always normally slow in the UK for boxing. So it's not ideal. It's definitely not ideal. But like, if we'd had January as planned, we would have only had one main card in the UK anyway. So Kelly Evanescence, good fight though. I was looking forward to that. Man, Josh Kelly, that I reckon we're never going to see that fight. I don't want to sound negative, but like 2 years of that fight falling through. Wait and you see. I'm saying this jokingly, but wait and you see. When they finally decide Team Kelly to do it like a walk and go in a different direction, all of a sudden we'll go back to normal. Be like, all right, we were able to get away from Avanesi, and now everyone's lives can go back to normal. Big up Intangible every single time. Big up, man. Big up to you, mate. Great channel, Intangible. So big up to Intangible. Big up to Brian. Tanking Garcia soon. I don't know who I'd go for in that fight. I probably would go for Garcia, to be honest with you. I'd go for Garcia over Haney. I would. January dead month. Yeah, it is. But see, the one good thing about January is you can get the news in. There's always a lot of boxing news coming in January. So January is a slow month for fights, but it's a good month for news. It's a good. Most months are a good month for news because if you've not got fights going, you can keep building. You can build and build and build and build. So January is not too bad. Yeah, that card. That was the first Matchroom card of the year. We didn't really see any cards from Matchroom in the UK in 2019 until then. No, we didn't see any. So that's why I say, like, although it's not ideal, it's really not. But it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. I just wish they fucking stop with all this. It's just, yeah. Canelo said he wants 3 fights this year. I could easily see that happening. I reckon he'll beat the living crap out of Avni Yildirim. He'll go on and probably fight Billy Joe and probably fight Triple G in September. I reckon that is his plan. But Yildirim fight, I reckon we'll get an announcement on that soon. Man, Yildirim will think all his Christmases and birthdays are coming together. Don't underestimate Malikuziak, because that's how I've heard his name enough times, so I keep saying Malikuziak. He can definitely KO Beterbiev. I'd pick him to win. I think, not Beterbiev, Kovalev. I'd pick him to win. When Fury, AJ, and Wilder go, who do you reckon would be top the heavyweight division? It's hard to say. It's hard to say because a lot of these guys still haven't answered questions. Like Yoka, I want to see him when he's fighting someone who's fighting back. When he's in there with someone who really tries to put it on him, how he copes. I'm looking at guys like Dubois. How is he going to come back from the Joe Joyce loss? Because that's an interesting one. It's an interesting question. Like, how will he come back from the Joe Joyce loss? Is there going to be damage there? You look at some of the other up-and-comers. You're looking at guys like Hrgovic, see how they get on. I don't know. I want to look at the Olympics this year and see some good heavyweights coming through there. Because I'm worried for boxing. I'm worried for boxing moving forward. I really, really am. I really am worried about moving forward because I've seen it myself, like a lot of amateur clubs saying they're closing down. Where are you going to get the next, the next boxers, next wave of boxers? Although I don't necessarily, but I'm not someone who is big on having a massively prolonged amateur career, but it certainly helps, and it certainly helps get some of the cream of the crop up. So yeah, man, I just think that, and the problem is that the gyms in like Ireland, well, Ireland don't produce any real decent heavyweights, to be fair. Sean Turner, and he's not even that good. UK, I mean, like heavyweights or amateurs in general, I reckon most of boxing is going to be dominated by East Europe, because if you look at how East Europe have done things, they've done things most countries in East Europe have anyway. Like, look at Latvia. Who remembers when he won the golden contract? He beat Burton. It was the Burton fight. Bolodniks. Remember when he fought Burton? It was like normal. Just like normal in Latvia. WTF, what happened to Adrian Broner? Be good. Man, there's so many stories. No, I wouldn't say it'd be pay-per-view, and it is a comedy show. Man, there's so many just downfall stories of fighters I can cover. Like, that's why I do them once a month. If I done them all like 3 a month, I'd be editing the fuck out of things. I'd be recording constantly. There's so many to do. And people love a good down. It's really weird. You do it like this is how we got to be, big, and it's people are just like, meh. You do about a downfall, people are like, yeah, I want to hear how this guy fucked up. Yeah, Brooke and Can for comedy. Allen versus Lovejoy. Shame it didn't go ahead. Didn't get to see an easy win. I would have just had a laugh. I just wanted to have a laugh. Just watch that fight and laugh at it. It would have been gas. Fat as a pig. Christopher Lovejoy. Allen would have smashed Lovejoy. He probably would have. But it would have been funny. Would have been funny. Dave Allen returns once crowns are back. That's why I'm thinking that's a good shout. He probably will. Imagine they get people singing for him again. He does those wrestling walks, and no, he doesn't. Eve Cassidy, Fields of Gold is what he uses. I think Allen almost guaranteed a return. So many boxers do that. Plus Eddie Hearn asked him to return about a week or two after he retired. I reckon Dave Allen will come back. I reckon he will. I don't know why. I don't want to see him back at all. You know, Mister. You know, I don't get opportunities. They brought Christopher Lovejoy in. God Almighty. Matchroom behind the scenes. Docs would have won. Matchroom Promoter of the Year. Consistency. Yeah, Matchroom are good. A lot of the professional companies are good. Eddie Hearn needs to take his show on the road. And I'm not talking about the US. I mean, in general. If he wants to get boxing, we need to keep going with that. Need to move it on. Need to get it into different countries. Yeah, Blackwell was addicted to the game. Blaze, okay. I couldn't believe it when I when I heard about that he'd sparred after all that. I was just like, what the fuck, man? After everything. You pick Price against Babic? LOL. I'm assuming. I was assuming that was a joke as well. Have I ever seen Tommy McDonough, Irish light heavyweight turn pro? No, I haven't. I don't watch him. To be honest with you, I don't look at a lot of Irish fighters. Very few I would look at, because most of them are not amazing. There's very few Irish fighters that I'd look at. Price will hurt Babic bad, the Green Machine says. Where was Dan? I seen Dan's comment pop up there. Yo, big up to Dan every single time. Boxing in the UK will be destroyed. Too much masculinity. Do you know what, right? During everything, you'll notice the boxers be the most vehement, you know, against certain things. They are. Why? Because it's just the nature of the sport. I mean, boxers tend to be alpha male. The majority of them. You get the odd one who is... Put it like this, right? How do I word this? The boxers I've seen who are the most... who aren't masculine. It's the best way to describe it. When I say aren't masculine, are just very silly. It's the best way to describe them. They all tend to flock from the same type of kind of category, and they're all garbage. They're all fucking garbage. There's plenty of fighters I've seen, even when you see them in interviews. Like, I've seen fighters literally, right, who haven't fought in like 2 years, who are planning to come back. And we're like, well, I could have fought 3 times in 2019, but I didn't. You know why I didn't fight? Not because, you know, I couldn't get a fight, but because I care too much for my family to leave them now. And to go, imagine I brought back, you know what? I couldn't live with myself. It's just like, no wonder you're going nowhere. Like, what the fuck? Like, there are fighters who are literally there are fighters literally who are begging to fight. And you've got people like that. It's just like, the fuck, man. The fuck. And you see, they're the fighters who aren't the masculine. They're the fighters who probably are happy that boxing's cancelled. Seriously. They're fighters who are probably happy that boxing's cancelled. Then you have the fighters like, you know, I'm trying to think, Josh Taylor and stuff. I know he's not fighting like at the minute, but they'd be livid. Imagine he was a prospect coming up. He'd be livid. Anyone hear how Edward Goodnick is? No. No, I haven't. I'll never forget that fight. I watched that fight live at home, obviously. And I remember, I think it was the 9th round. I'm watching this on my couch that I used to cover fights, right? I'm watching this fight on my couch. And in the 9th round, I'm sat in my flipping living room, 2016. And I'm looking at Goodneck. I'm like, he's blinking a lot. And I'm looking at him like, they need to stop this fight. And they didn't. And I remember like him leaving the ring, just being like, oh, I hope he's okay. Because he didn't look right. Even when the bell, I was like, he doesn't look right at all. And I just remember thinking, but he's walking around the ring. Nothing's happened. I was thinking, all right, maybe it's just me. Maybe I was just thinking maybe I'm just overreacting because I was like, he's bleeding or he's blinking a lot. I'm like, they need to stop this, and they should have really stopped it then and there in the 9th round. But I was like, he'd be all right. Like, he walked out of the ring, he should be fine. So I go to bed, and I remember waking up in the middle of the night, just checking my phone as you do. Went to YouTube, and I saw a video from Hatman where it was like Edward Goodnick clapped at his dressing room, and I was just like, I wasn't happy that I was right, but I was like, I knew there was something off with him. I was like, he took way too many headshots. He was blinking a lot. Like, if you go back and watch that, look at the night round, you'll see him. He's just like that constantly. And I'm like, I'm sitting on my couch and I can see that. How can the referee and the cornerman not see that? I was like, what the fuck? British Boxing Board of Control are absolute shameful. How can the government ignore boxing with emergency funding, yet the British Boxing Board of Control order boxing to stop? They shouldn't give a damn. I know. But boxing is such a, like, as Dan said, you're dealing with probably the ultimate masculine sport. You know? I mean, very seldom do you get pussies in boxing. You get the odd, you do. You get them in all aspects of life. You know, there's plenty of pussies in boxing, as who are actual fighters, and I will call them pussies because, yeah, they get in there and fight, but some of their actions otherwise is just like, what are you doing? And then most of these fighters, as I said earlier, are not particularly good fighters. It's one of the reasons why they are where they are. But boxing's just, it is a masculine sport, and you do tend to get the alpha males in it, and they are trying their best to just, alpha males these days, man, they are losing. It's hard. It's not easy. I mean, I see it myself. And like in Ireland, right, the biggest sport here is GAA, which is like, they show it on Sky. I've never been a fan of it personally. It's like Simp Central. Literally. The lads who followed it, it's the biggest sport. So you're obviously going to get a lot of guys who are good and that and the other. But seriously, the majority of people I've seen who love, like religiously follow GAA, Simp Central. Literally, Simp Central. Simp Central. You know? Fantastic content, G-Man. Big up, big up. What's next for Adrian Broner? What the fuck happened to Adrian Broner? Who knows? He's meant to be fighting. In February, but we'll see how that goes. AB is, I don't know, man. There's only one Huey Fury. Yeah, there is. Thank God for that. How do you think China will, or when do you think China will produce a heavyweight champion, given the state will spare no cost in developing talent? Well, they ain't producing it with that. What's the guy's name? I only seen him in the comment section video. What's the guy's name? Shinny Zing or something like that. They ain't producing it with him. They definitely ain't producing it with him. But I don't know. They must want a. I'm assuming they do. I don't want to put boxing in China and get a Chinese heavyweight or something like that. But Zili Zhang, that was it. I seen someone comment on it there. They definitely ain't getting it with him. They definitely ain't getting it with Zili Zhang. Hell no, they ain't getting it with him. But who knows? I mean, I don't follow Chinese boxing religiously at all. So who knows? There might be a diamond in the rough Chinese heavyweight that none of us have ever heard of who might turn out to be the second coming. Or they might turn out to be the next Zili Zhang. Where, I don't know. I just, when they announced him with Matchroom, I'd heard of him. I was just like, why? And he's like nearly 40. I was just like, why? What was the point in that? Like, that just made no sense to me. I was like, Zili Zhang, like the Chinese heavyweight who's nearly 40, who's fought no one. Why? I wonder how many more US shows will be shown at 11 p.m. UK time. Hopefully more. I hope that went down a treat in the US, as in, obviously the show went well, but I hope it went down the treat as in having it on at that time, because it might mean that in future there might be demand for shows to be on that early, if you know what I mean. So like, if they enjoyed the fact that, what time would it have been? Like, I know in LA, because this would have been a what? We're about, that was on at 11 o'clock. There's about like a 5-hour gap. If I've any fans from Texas or America, they'll let me know. This fight happened. It was after 11 when this fight happened. So there's like I'm going to say 6-hour gap, 5 or 6-hour gap from Ireland, the UK to Texas. Obviously, it's more in the West Coast. So I wonder how they got on and if they enjoyed it having it on at that time. Be interesting. The Zone will be keen to build momentum and stage big shows. Yeah, the Zone will definitely be staged. I reckon Eddie Hearn's going to go on the road. Notice how all the Americans seem to have suddenly forgotten about Loma since the Garcia win. I would pick Loma over Mikey, or not Mikey. I would pick him over Ryan, definitely. Yeah, Ben's right here. He says, Eddie was putting the shows on in the Middle East or Monaco. Yeah, Monaco, actually. Those shows were just the, well, I was talking about atmosphere. We don't have any fans anyway. We don't have any fans. Monaco, they're would it be expensive over there? No, it'd be expensive over there. Monaco is dear, but it's like a tax haven. It's full of F1 drivers. Kovalev is 4-1. Like I said, like if I was to bet on that, then I would go with Kovalev. Or not Kovalev, I'd go with Malakuziev, definitely. So be interesting. Yo, G-Man, I'm surprised guys like Wilder Age don't use Price as sparring partner, because people saying he's good in the gym like Jennings. That's quality sparring. Yeah, that's actually a good shout, because he would be quality sparring. And like that, Brian Jennings, great sparring partner, but he can't produce it on the big stage. Or he's come close a few times, but he seems to just be the eternal choker. Yeah, Brian Jennings has that sparring partner mentality. You can see that. I'm not interested in Babic until he beats. Yeah, Tom Dallas. I'm not interested in Babic until he fights David Hale and chins him. David Hale. Apart from Fury AJ, White Povetkin too, I still don't think we're going to see that fight. I don't know why. I don't think we're going to see that fight. What fights can we expect to see? Yoka versus that Peter Miller's guy. Is he Czech? I think he's Czech. Is he Yoka versus him? I reckon we'll see it this year. I wouldn't mind seeing Parker versus White if we don't get Povetkin. Seriously, because that was a good fight. I wouldn't mind seeing Parker versus Povetkin. Who knows? Might get that. There's a couple. Of heavyweight fights. There's a couple of interesting heavyweight fights out there. If Babic beats Price, Chisora Babic would be fun for a couple of rounds before Delboy puts him to sleep. I would pick Chisora every day of the week and twice on a Sunday over Alan Babic. But it would be whack. They would literally be like bang, like a car crash. It'd be fun. G-Man, if Price had a GGG chin, he would surely have won a world title. No, I don't think so. A better example, if Khan had a GGG chin, I'm not even joking, I would say he would have been an all-time great. Maybe with Khan, if he had a better chin, different story. But Pricey, it's not just physical. It's not just the chin that's an issue with Price. It's a lot of things. It's a lot more than just the chin. So you got to think about his reflexes. You got to think about his defense. The most important thing about Pricey, or the most important thing, the biggest flaw in Pricey's game isn't even his chin. I think it's his mental state. He just doesn't have it mentally. Like Pricey will just, the minute things get hard in there, like look at him when he fought Tony Thompson. The second time, he wasn't really necessarily bothered by the punches. He just fell apart. He just fell apart mentally. He just didn't know what to do. So he just fell apart mentally. So that was more so his problem against Tony Thompson, as opposed to him being hurt. So when people say it's his chin, he's been laid out a few times. But there's other times where it's not been the chin. It's not helped. I'm sure that if he had a better chin, but I reckon you put him in pressure situations. Like let's say he had a good chin, a really good chin, and he took those shots from, Tony Thompson. He didn't get knocked out, and he ended up fighting, say, like a Luis Ortiz or someone like that. If they really put it on him, I reckon he'd still capitulate. Even if he could take the shots, he'd still capitulate because he just mentally, Pricey was just erratic. He would just fights he should win, he would lose. He'd be like on the cusp of winning. Things would get to him mentally, and then he'd drain his energy as well. Hrgovic reckons boxing is thriving right now in his last interview with Coogan. Boxing's in a good place, irrespective of what the British Boxing Board of Control are doing. There's fights to be made. We're getting fights made, and it's in a better place than it was, definitely. Irrespective of what they're doing over here, we're still in a better place than we were 9 months ago. You find the zone so biased even compared to Sky. Yeah, the zone commentary on Saturday wasn't great. I'll give you that. I didn't like it. They're not amazing. They're better than Sky. They are better than Sky, but they're not amazing. No, the zone aren't amazing. They need an Irish voice in there. Just saying. Lovejoy is the boogeyman at the heavyweight division. I'm sure even he would disagree with that. Totally correct. It's best to have amateur gyms and bouts so guys can get experience and learn from their mistakes. Yeah, like I'm not one for guys having, massively, massively long amateur careers. That's not I've never really been keen on that. Because I've seen, I know in Ireland, the be all and end all for any fighter really in Ireland, well, most fighters is the Olympics. They want to get Olympic gold and they want to do well. They want to medal in the Olympics, right? But a lot of fighters, they have, in Ireland anyway, they have that amateur style drilled into them. So they turn pro, they're a bit like a fish out of water. And because they've spent so long in the amateur games, they're jaded. And they've only had one pro fight. They're already jaded. So, I'm not someone who was, we need amateurs. We definitely do. We need amateur gyms going. We need these fighters to progress, learn from their mistakes, gain experience. But irrespective, my stance on amateur boxing is do it until you hit a certain level. And it's like when it almost becomes a habit. When these traits are a habit, that's when you need to cut it, because you need to, if you're having any plan on going pro, you need to have pro style. You can't just be going around spending, 15 years as an amateur, then turning pro, maybe having wars in those amateur fights, and then thinking, all right, it's all going to be all sunshine and daisies. I'm going to turn pro now. I'm going to be all right. When you have this, look at Paddy Barnes. Look at him when he fought on Conlon's show, when he lost to a journeyman. Even Andre Ward was saying, he's throwing pat punches that are having no effect. He's trying to win points. And the guy he's fighting is just smashing him with power shots. He dropped Paddy Barnes as well in that fight. And I was just like, that's because, and look at Davey, what was the guy's name? What was it? Davey Oliver Joyce. Was it Jojo Dan he lost to? Or who was it? No, it wasn't Jojo Dan he lost to, but he lost to someone he really shouldn't have been losing to. And even Carl Frampton said that's someone who stayed, he was amateur so long. Yeah, the amateur, he was amateur. He was fighting alongside Carl Frampton, and they were both, on the Irish team, they were both amateurs at the time. Now, Frampton turned pro not long after that. Joyce only turned pro, I think, 2017. Imagine Carl Frampton coming to the end of his career in 2017, and you fought alongside, you're only turning pro then. Your career as a pro is finished before it's even started. So I always say, you need an amateur background. You do. It's like an apprenticeship. You need it. But apprenticeships end. You don't need to prolong it unnecessarily, because that's when it comes time when you're going into the big boys, then you're going to be found wanting. So my stance on amateur gyms is we need them. We definitely need them. How are we going to get talent? But a lot of fighters need to understand that you shouldn't stay amateur. When you're turning pro in your 30s and you've been, it's different if it's different if you started boxing at, say, 22. You spent 10 years, learning your craft, all that. You turn pro at 30. That's different. You started boxing when you were 12. You spent 20 years as an amateur. Bruh, not good. Who's the muscle-bound American heavyweight? All the hype and no talent American. Is it James the Beast Wilson, Joe? Is that who we're talking about? James Wilson? I've seen, he is garbage, by the way. James the Beast Wilson. He is garbage. Yo, big up to Tony. Smash the like button and show support. Yo, how many likes do we have? I haven't even been checking the chat. How many likes do we have in the chat? But big up to Tony every single time. 21 likes, 31 people. Big up to all the lads in the chat. But yes, big up to Tony as well. Shout out to you, my man. How are you? I think Luke Campbell is a perfect example of not transferring fluently into the pros from amateurs. He did get better with Shane McGuigan, but I think it's a bit too little too late for him. I think it's a wee bit too late for him. Yes, it is James the Beast Wilson. Well done. Wait there a sec. Wait there a sec. I think he lost his last fight. I'm nearly sure he did. Either that or he either drew it or he lost it. And that was over a year ago and he's not fought since. I don't know how anyone could be hyping this guy. Oh yeah, James the Beast Wilson. 7-0 with 1 draw. 34 years old, 6 foot tall, 250. Oh yeah, majority. Oh, he's been 2 years. Jesus, it's even longer than that. That was last year. So he's not fought. Right, look at this. I'll bring in my screen. Come on. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. So bring in my share for you lads, right? I didn't think it was this long. Actually, no, we're not, because this is not work for me. But anyway, I'll go back on screen. Yeah, he fought 2 years ago, majority decision against the guy who was, what was his record? 13-20. And he drew with him, majority decision draw. I think one judge scored it, because obviously in America, if it's a 6-round, they still score. No, one judge 2. They give it to Wilson. That's not good. But that fella put him in with Babic. Babic would take his head clean off his shoulders. James the Beast Wilson. You see, James the Beast, but there you go. There's an example. You always see guys, right, who lift a load of weight and automatically, by default, they're like, yep, I reckon I'll be a good boxer. You know, look how much weight I lift. Okay. All right. That means nothing, literally. James the Beast Wilson's a prime example. The guy is jacked up to the tit, but the guy can't fight. Looks good for show, but no go. Much respect to G-Man. Stopped in to support the chat. Are you working, bro? We got to do it, man. I do it 5 days a week. You gotta get the money in somehow. We got to do it somehow. It is what it is. It is what it is. But one day, bro, one day, this is gonna pay the bills. In whatever way that is, it's gonna pay the bills. One day, for me anyway. Right, nobody needs 300 fights. I mean, it's impressive, but something like 50 fights probably ideal. Yeah, between 50 and 100, you know, depending on what level you're at. But between 50, even 50 and 80 fights, I reckon, is good enough. If you fought at a decent level, you know, like I said, like Ireland, they produce good amateurs. They don't produce good pros. Like, I mean, and like when people were telling me back when McGregor was going to fight Mayweather, that like, oh, but he won an All Ireland, which is like an ABA in like UK terms. They were like, yeah, but he won an All Ireland. That makes him good. I'm like, man, I've known plenty of people who've won All Irelands in boxing, and some of them have gone on to be pros, and they've been absolute. Like when I say they've been bad, they've been getting knocked out by journeymen you wouldn't even give to a prospect on his pro debut who didn't even have that many amateur fights. Seriously, it means nothing. It's a nice little thing to have on your mantelpiece, but it isn't anything. Milas is Croatian. I wasn't sure. I knew he was from that area, but I wasn't sure. Now, to be honest with you. I'm surprised. I actually didn't think he was. Yeah, boxing not popular in China. I can't imagine Can you imagine? I can't really, like, in China of all countries, I can't really picture them having much of a lust for the sport of boxing, to be honest with you. I can't imagine it. I really can't. Yeah, I can't imagine people in China having that, you know, lust for boxing at all, really. I know they put on shows in Macau, but the actual China, like, I can't picture it. And although I've been trained, I don't think I've ever seen a Chinese person ever in the boxing gym. It's weird. Never. Ruining badminton, table tennis, our most popular sports in China. Yeah, they love badminton. They love the table tennis for some reason. Baseball and football are on the increase. Yeah, the Chinese Premier League. Who's the Chinese guy working with Roach? Is it Zilli Zhang? Is it? Because I don't know many others. How many others? What's up, bro? Need to get me a head and scarf. Boiler's not working. Well, I don't wear a scarf. I never have. But the hat, yeah. The hat's keeping my head warm. Whoa, it's the first I've heard of this. What do you think of Matchroom potentially being sold for $5 billion? Jesus. Well, if they're selling Matchroom, they'd be selling the whole of Matchroom. That's the darts included. Because darts is run by Matchroom. It's obviously the PDC, but it's run by Matchroom. They run snooker as well. I mean, Jesus. Hunter versus Hrgovic. I'd got Hunter in that fight, man. I'd take Hunter in that fight. He's been amateur for years. We talked about Luke Campbell. Yeah, Luke Campbell, he done what he needed to do as an amateur, but, you know. Well, that's a good comment there, actually. That's a good comment. Where I missed the XOV, you guys stay amateur really long. Latinos hardly at all. Yet both reach the same standard. Brits and other Europeans. You see, I have a feeling I know why. Because in Eastern Europe, and I've seen this myself, they teach you how to sit down on your shots. They teach you power, right? Now, I've been in amateur gyms around Ireland, and they don't do that. What they do is they focus more so on, you get in, you get out, you get in, you get out, you get in, punch, 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 get out, get in, punch, 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 move, get out, punch, punch, punch. If you've ever trained with people from Eastern Europe, even as an amateur, they're saying, no, you take the head clean off the shoulders. Yeah, it's about point scoring. But you get a chance to take the head off the shoulder, you take the head off the shoulders. They teach you how to throw uppercuts properly, set your feet, plant. They teach you how to be power punchers. They teach you almost an amateur / pro style. So for the guys in Eastern Europe, it's not as much of a shock to the system. Granted, they stay amateur for long, but they're taught the way of the pros as well, at least from what I've seen. Whereas in Ireland and the UK, places like that, it's just, oh, you want to sit down on your shots. Oh, no, that's pro style. That not in this gym. You learn the amateur style. And they drill that amateur style into you. And then when you turn pro, at least it is for most Irish guys, it's just like, holy shit, what? I have to knock this guy out? What, you don't want me throwing loads of punches around? It's like, no, quality over quantity. And I think that's one of the reasons. Latinos, they do the Anthony Yarde technique, which is just fight nobodies. But it's worked for loads. Look at Chavez, Marquez, Canelo. I mean, Canelo, they recycled Miguel Vasquez. I think he even had a split decision with Vasquez. It's that is their amateur style, That is their amateur game. Reckon we'll see Usyk in the ring again. Or not Usyk. What am I saying? Usyk. Reckon I'll see Kubrat Pulev in the ring again. Yes, I do. I think there'll be an away fight corner. There'll be someone up and coming who'll want to take that fight. Or they'll offer him decent pay for it. Love to see Babic smash Hughie Fury. I wouldn't pick him over Hughie Fury, to be honest with you. I wouldn't. The current top British European boxers had good amateur careers. Josh Taylor, Anthony Joshua, Fury, Beterbiev. They did. But it's these guys who are just, as I said, constantly like that. They live for the amateur game. They live for the amateur game. Fabio Wardley is being immensely underestimated. I rate Wardley very highly. I do. I think Wardley is very good. Now, that right there, Wardley will defeat Dylan White. Just watch. It's like one of those guys in the crew that's low-key stronger than the leader. I don't know if I go that far, but definitely I can see Fabio Wardley having a good career. Definitely. 100% I could see him having a good career. I don't know if I go that far, pick him over Dylan White, but I can see him. He's going to be very, very, very useful. He's going to be a very useful heavyweight in the future. I like his jab. I do. I like his jab. He's got good power in both hands. I think Fabio Wadley is going to be very, very useful. G-Man, what do you make of the shit show that the Irish government are doing? Yeah. Well, we're live, so I can't really go in depth, but it's a joke. We all know it's a joke. Bullshit. But what can you do? I mean, like, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's a lot of people are frightened, and a lot of people from more so the West, because I know I always have goals at the West, but of Ireland, but a lot of people from the West are stuck, or I've called them. Galway is all right, but a lot of other counties like Leitrim and Mayo, they're hillbillies. They don't know any better. So, you know, they're the ones, not necessarily all them, but counties like that, you know, they don't know any better. They love what the government are doing. Look, I don't talk too much about it, but people know my stance. It is what it is. And 2021 is going to be better, and I reckon we will see an end to it. However that is, I don't know, but we will see an end to it, I reckon. Babic rushes in and Hughie Fury holds, rinse and repeat. Yep, spot on, Intangible. I can't see it going any other way. Like, or Hughie Fury would just move. You see, if I want to see what Babic is like when he gets tired, because all we see is Babic just go and rush these guys. I mean, like, if you invest in Babic's body and you bring him into the late rounds, he will literally, I reckon his feet will be like 2 planks of concrete. Seriously. But Intangibles called it there. Tired of seeing British fighters lose to Americans. Well, they don't always lose, you know. Josh Taylor beat Regis Prograis. Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder. Who else have we seen beat Americans? There's been a few. Joshua beat Dominic. Okay, Dominic Brazil's not great, to be fair, but you know, it's not always the way. Regis Prograis. We've seen others as well. Just trying to think off the top of my head. We've seen others go over there and win. You know, Kell Brook was never going to beat Terence Crawford. Facts. Nor was Amir Khan. You know, he lost to Spence. Yep, he did. But, you know, the UK do have their moments. AJ also beat Ruiz, exactly. Although he did lose the first one, but he won the rematch. So, you know, it's not as... I know a lot of fans, like, I know a lot of American fans commented in the comment section of my post-fight, and they were like, oh my God, you know, you can't ever beat Americans. It's like, no, they have. I think it's just... It does happen. Loads of times UK fighters, a good few times UK fighters have beaten in the recent times, you know? It's just that way. It's just almost like when one goes over and loses, it's just like, wow, you know, you guys can't win. It's like, of course. And like Will Stokes just said there, Brook versus Porter. Exactly. You know, plenty of times. Brook versus Porter. I know, look at Joe Calzaghe, Roy Jones, although Bernard Hopkins, but Jeff Lacey, when he was seen as the man, the next, you know, second coming, Joe Calzaghe, you know, McClellan losing to Ben, you know, loads of times. That's a great fight. I would definitely go with Andy Ruiz in that fight every day of the week. And as someone says, remind them where the heavyweight belts are. Exactly. You know, and I'm not pro-UK or pro-America. You know, I've picked on plenty of American fighters to beat UK fighters, but vice versa. I've picked plenty of UK fighters to beat American fighters. I don't know why. Some people just overhype it. Both countries have excellent fighters. Facts. You know? And when you go and you fight at the highest level, sometimes some are going to win, some ain't. You know? Like, look at Regis Prograis. Regis Prograis is special. And Josh Taylor beat him. And I would take Josh Taylor over Teofimo Lopez. That's not me being biased because I like Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor is a good lad. But would I pick Josh Taylor over Terence Crawford? No. So it just is that way. It's just, you do it from your perspective. Yeah, he's a very good prospect. Never fight. But he would never fight his manager. That's insane. Yeah, he wouldn't fight Dylan unless they split acrimoniously. Wouldn't be surprised if Dylan White's punch position to shot to pieces when he returns. Oh, Joe, do you know what, Joe? I'd be amazed. Even if he doesn't fight Povetkin, I'd be amazed if he gets through his next fight without hitting the ground. I reckon his punch is going to go to the dogs. Nothing against the man, but 2 bad KOs mean you're never the same neurologically. I hope you're wrong. Does everyone remember when Derek Chisora got knocked out against David Price? In his next fight, was it Edmund Gerber he fought? Because he fought Edmund Gerber. Either his next fight or it wasn't long after he fought David Haye. I hope I didn't say David Price, but David Haye. And Derek Chisora at the time, been in there with Hellenius. He was buzzed a bit against Hellenius. But he went there against Gerber, and you could tell neurologically the punch resistance. Now, Chisora obviously had a better baseline punch resistance than Dillian Whyte. So he was able to shave off a little bit of punch resistance, still be quite good and still be quite durable. And he was still quite durable. He is still quite durable. But Dillian Whyte, when he got his chin checked against AJ, it looked like it. Well, say Dillian Whyte's punch resistance is there. Like, it's higher than your average fighter. Say it went like that against AJ, where it's like, right, you're on an average playing field now. I reckon it's going to go down to there now, to the point where I'm not going to say lesser punches will hurt him, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see him frequently hurt. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him down with shots that you wouldn't expect Dillian Whyte to go down and get dropped with, maybe even against non-punchers. Like, say for argument's sake, we don't see Povetkin fight, and he fights someone like Luis Ortiz. I'd be amazed if he doesn't touch down. I'd be amazed. Be absolutely amazed if he doesn't touch down. I think Kell Brook has the most impressive win against him. Oh, God, yeah. I mean, like, I actually, when I watched the fight the first time, Turman versus Spence, I thought Spence won. When I watched the back, I thought Porter, what am I talking about Spence? I'm talking about Turman versus Porter. I thought Porter won. When I watched the back the second time, I was like, no, to be fair, Turman did win. It was close. Same thing against Errol Spence. Very, very close fight. Kell Brook for me, and it was competitive, don't get me wrong, but Kell Brook he did what he wanted to do. He was the boss in there. Do you still think Ramirez will beat Taylor? I reckon so. Yeah, I do, but I think that it's going to be a tougher fight than more people will bet, because I think that Ramirez, whenever I've seen him in big fights, like, I was really, really, really impressed when he fought Maurice Hooker. They say what you want about Maurice Hooker. You can say, oh, he's not that good. I was still impressed with the job he done on him, because he was clinical. He was vicious. He didn't lose a round. He outboxed Maurice Hooker. I was very impressed with Ramirez. He has one good fight. He'll have one lackluster fight. But I think against Taylor, he'll do good. We'll get the best out of Ramirez, but I don't think it's going to be enough to win. I think that Josh Taylor has that extra gear. I think he has that extra gear. Came back yesterday from Essex MTK camp. Josh Taylor looking sharp. Jock Taylor didn't like your Scottish accent. Oh, man. Big up to Josh Taylor. Big up to a lot of the MTK guys. A good bunch of lads. Big up Ben Davison. Big up to Coach Ashir. I'm always saying his name wrong. I'm probably saying it wrong again, but big up to him. Big up to all them guys. A good bunch of lads. Canelo is Mexican, not American sometimes. Yeah, no, Canelo is Mexican. They do that sometimes when Britons forget. You know what? Sometimes when an Irish fighter wins, they call them British. Yeah. They do. That's a cardinal sin over here. It's not often that happens, to be fair, though. It's not often. Huey Fury is the dark horse of British boxing. He's so much better than people think, but forget he's often so boring. You pick him over Dubois. I would too, to be fair. At this stage, I would. We need to see what Dubois is like when he comes back. Prograis at number 2, Josh Taylor. Yeah. Man, Prograis he is talented. Man, Josh Taylor and Regis Prograis, man, they are. And I take Regis Pro. Oh, yeah, no, I would. I take Regis Prograis over Teofimo Lopez slightly. I take Josh Taylor slightly over Teofimo. I'm not saying I picked them both over Teofimo, but I wouldn't be like, he's definitely going to win. I'd be like, hell no. It's close. It's competitive. Don't understand. Don't Americans and the population difference between the UK. Yeah, that has to be said as well. massively, just massive difference in population. Huge, man. Where else we getting? Ramirez always starts late. I pick Taylor. He's too quick and he's enough power and body punches. Yeah, he does start late, but that's one thing I will say as well about the one time I did see Ramirez start fast was when he fought Jose Ramirez. You know, spot on, Will. You reckon Prograis will clean up once Taylor beats Ramirez? Yeah, well, I can't see Taylor sticking around. I mean, that's why I feel bad for Jack Catterall. I mean, like, there are sharks in that division. Imagine getting to a mandatory position. He didn't look great in his last fight. Imagine getting to a mandatory position and knowing that some of the guys in your way are like Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez, Regis Prograis, Teofimo Lopez moves up, Victor Postal. You got to look at the division and just think, shit. Pigeon thinks that he's got money on Ramirez beating Taylor. I can't see it. You give Ramirez, he's got killer body shots. You pick Ramirez over Taylor. I wouldn't. I know Ramirez ain't feather fisted. All right, he ain't feather fisted, but I wouldn't pick him. I wouldn't pick him over Josh Taylor. Certainly not now. Ujima, what do you think of Dave Benavidez, super middleweight? Dave Benavidez has so much potential. He's got size, power, but he's just so ill-disciplined. You know, he just doesn't have that. Just, it annoys me as well when I see him, because you're just like, you've so much raw talent there, you have potential, you've size, you've all this, but you punch and power, but between having what parties and missing weight, it's not good. You know, it's not good. What did I make of Chisora's antics at the press conference with Taylor? I thought it was funny as shit. And if it got him more money, so be it. I'm happy for him. I want to see these fighters get paid, man. Man, if it got him more pay, happy out. If it got Chisora more pay, happy out. Yeah, so boxing is more popular as a participating sport in the UK as compared to the UK, with a population of 5 times more. Exactly. We're going to get more. The law of averages, man. The law of averages, you're always going to get more when you have a country with more people. Like, I mean, imagine, like, Ireland has 4.5 million people. Compare that to the UK of what, 60 million? I mean, obviously you're going to get more talent in that country. It's just the law of averages. You know, Regis Prograis fighting at 143 now, going by his last weigh-in. Yeah, but that was a non-title fight, so you would imagine that is just, if you don't need to make the weight, you probably just won't make it, but you probably still can. I hope the main fight stays in the UK, not Saudi or UAE. I don't know nowadays. I didn't necessarily mind it, to be honest with you, when it was in the UAE, to be fair. I didn't really mind it, lads, to be honest with you. I was quite glad. I was like, this is done early, and this is just not too bad. Saying that's what I think. He pisses about too much in and out of the ring. Yeah, he does. He does. But like as I said, there, Benavidez needs to stop. He's getting stripped of his title. It's pissed me off. Twice he's been stripped of his title. Failing his drugs test, and then for missing weight. He missed weight badly. It wasn't like he missed it by like a half a pound. It was like 2 or 3 pounds he missed it by. So he missed that weight bad. He missed that bad. Prograis is also at the right weight, 140. He'd be undersized at 147. I actually don't know. I think Prograis wouldn't do too bad at 147. I think he'd be all right, but he'd never make 135. I couldn't see Prograis making that weight. No way. I'd be amazed if I wouldn't expect him to. I'd say he does not make that weight. But at 147, I can see Prograis being useful at 147. Definitely. Can easily see that. Tony's got it right here. You could watch that fight repeatedly. It's a great fight. Watch Prograis Taylor the other day again. So many skills display in that fight. Prograis magnumizing in defense. I'm probably saying that wrong. My reading sometimes is just shocking. It's like a fucking child sometimes. Magnanimous. Got it. Magnanimous in defeat as well. Seems like a top guy. Fuck, I made myself look bad there. My reading can be shocking sometimes. But it was a great fight. That was fight of the year. Because think of the skill that was on and how close it was and how good a fight it was and how back and forth it went. It was a great fight. I thought Taylor won, personally. Thought he just edged it. But I wouldn't have been complaining if they gave the decision to Prograis. One scorecard was way too wide, though. One of them was real wide. One of them was real wide. I remember that. What else we got? Crazy that Taylor could be the man to take the scalp of Teofimo Lopez and Terence Crawford. A modern great is Taylor. We need more respect for names like that. Man, I got to big up Josh Taylor every single time. You got to big him up. He's a stand-up guy, Josh Taylor. He really is. Stand-up guy. Ireland has a population of about 5 million. Yeah, majority of it's in Dublin as well. England closer to 50. And as I said, as I said earlier in the chat, you're dealing with, in Ireland, right? You're dealing with people who want to stay amateur too long. It's not the biggest sport in Ireland, boxing. It's quite a niche sport, to be honest with you. GAA, which is Gaelic football, hurling, they're bigger sports. They attract the simps. They fucking do. You go and meet people who are adamant to be like, oh, I play football, I play GAA, and they're fucking simps. Especially people from different counties. And I know I'm always having to go with people from different. But if you go to the West, not every county in the West be like, do you like football? Yeah, I like GAA. Me and this, and yeah, I bring me family and friends, and you can talk to me whatever way you want. I don't care. They're fucking simps. They're fucking simps. God damn it. Do you like boxing? No, I don't like seeing lads get hit. I get sad if I see that. It's not my cup of tea, and I wouldn't let my girl. Fuck right off, man. You'd love Ebony Bridges. Ebony Bridges on Twitter. You'd fucking love her. She's like your type of girl. She just attracts them. Show a picture of Ebony Bridges and bloody hell, the Sims from the West, would be coming in their pants. But she's unreal. I want an OnlyFans account. Yeah, Josh Taylor seems like he does. He's switched on. I'll give him that. Can't wait for G-Man to come to the UK, take him to the Performance Centre. Man, I'd love to meet a few of them guys, man. I would kill for that. Play GAA at Irish schools in the UK I went to. Hated it. Yeah, I hated it too. I didn't like it at all. Didn't like it at all. G-Man hates GAA. You've got up in my opinion. I hate GAA. I'd watch it if it was on in a pub or something. I was with the lads, but I wouldn't go to a match. And just like I said, there's loads of people I know who would play it, especially where I'm from in Dublin, because it's small, so it would be kind of a parish place. But when you go to counties like the south, not really much so the north, but the south, the west, certain counties, it's our main sport. There's no other sport, and you meet the guys, and fuck me, they are simping. God damn it. It's just how the fuck, they be simping. Yeah. I only say that, right? I remember Dell telling me about this ages ago, right? And he was like, Ebony Bridges, look at what some of her fans on Twitter say. And I don't follow her on Twitter, so I went on to it, right? Went on to Ebony Bridges, and I read the first few comments from the fans. They're all lads, obviously. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, and loads of them were saying, you need an OnlyFans account, I'll subscribe. Oh my God, Ebony, I'm just like, holy. Actually, there was an Irish guy there, right? Because I recognized the name. It was Ronan. He had a photo on it or something like that. And I literally clicked on it, right? I was like, I want to see this guy. And wouldn't you know, GAA in the background. I was like, our GAA was retweet GAA post. I was like, there you go. OnlyFans. And you're talking about Ebony Bridges and you're a GAA fan. Facts. Facts matter, lads. Facts matter. Facts matter. But yeah, Ebony Bridges, she attracts them. Ebony Bridges on her OnlyFans account. God almighty. I mean, she's a teacher. Could you imagine what the students to be saying to her? I was really lucky. I had no nice teachers at all. They were all not nice. They were not nice. As in, there was no nice looking teachers I went to school with at all. So they were never in any fear. of ever getting chatted up by students. Ever. There was none really nice at all in my school. My school was just fun. It's just fun. My school days were fun. They were real good fun. They were real good fun. JA is handball. Basically, similar to it. It's not fun. I prefer soccer from playing football. I'm not good at either, but prefer soccer. Are you saying the fight as Irishman was always a myth, or are they just now haunted to extinction? At one stage, I would have said the fighting Irishman's a real thing, but nowadays, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, like, they're a rare breed. Like, you have me, and I don't go out. Look, if someone pisses me off, I'll fucking just say, like, you know, fuck you. Fucking, it's like someone says something to me, like, say to me, fucking face, motherfucker. But you have these guys who it's just weird. Like, it's just hard to describe, like, how Ireland's gone. You have some guys who are just like, yeah, they have that bit of, you know, masculine in them and stuff like that. But then it's when you travel to different counties, like, you just start seeing these guys who are just like, what the hell's happened to this country? You know, what the fuck's happened? And you see these guys, they be simping, they be just like, you know, oh, this and we need this. Like, I don't get it. But yeah, we be simping. But that Irish fighting guy, man, that is extinct. That's extinct, bro. That's extinct. Randomly watched your appearance on Box Talk with Eddie at the weekend. That was 11 months ago, man. That was fun. That was traveling to, I traveled out. That was on a Saturday. Flew over on the Saturday, came back on the Sunday. Should have stayed longer. Should have really stayed longer. I like London. That was the 1st of Feb. That was the 1st of Feb. It's crazy. That flew in. Who would have thought what would happen a month later? Hope Lawrence O'Colly Cruz of the cruiserweight division think he'd be a major player heavyweight. Honestly, I don't. I think he's going to get absolutely lifted off the ground at heavyweight. I think the attributes he has at cruiserweight is that he's bigger, stronger. He's got the reach. He's going to lose a lot of them at heavyweight. I think he's going to get lifted off the ground the minute he moves up to heavyweight. Seriously. I think he's going to get lifted off the ground when he goes to heavyweight. Do I follow horse racing? No, man, I'm not. I don't. Most of the guys I know follow it. They follow it for betting. It's not something I'd be interested. Very few sports I follow, man. Like, I watch a bit of football. I like F1. I like a bit of darts. But boxing's my go-to sport. Boxing and F1 in that order. I like F1. I've always liked F1 since I was a kid. Big Michael Schumacher fan when I was a kid. Still am. But that's it, really. The fighting Irishman is mainly immigrants to the US. But Dublin, is a huge rep for fighting. Yeah, like Dublin would. There are still some definitely like fighting Irish guys, but they're few far between these days. Yo, Alex is out of here. I'm out of here. Keep doing your thing, G man. Like the box and talk where nobody is acting like no one is acting like a punch of little girls, man. We don't get that in here. And you're going. I'm not long for this either. Because I have to record some videos. I have to get some videos out tomorrow. It's already 9:30. It's nearly 9:30, but I have to get some videos recorded. Seeing two travelers fight together. They still go at it, Hammer and Tom, lad. They still go at it, Hammer and Tom. But big up to everyone. All right, lads, I'm going to call it quits here. As per usual. One during the week, one on the Sunday. There's not going to be much to talk about on a Sunday, man. Not much to talk about on a Sunday. Not be much to talk about this Sunday because January is a bit of a quiet month, as we all know. But hopefully we get some stories. I'll read that before I go. Big up to Tony. Many of the box gyms in England have Irish heritage in them, G-man. So Birmingham are Irish gyms still. Yeah, well, that's true. A lot of them would have Irish heritage in them. The problem is, I just hope they stay. I just hope they stick around. Big up to Bruce Lee. Big up to Chris. Big up to Tony, of course. You know, big up to Harvinder. Hope I'm saying it right, pal. Big up, man. Made a video earlier that's done spectacularly bad views, but you got to keep plugging away at it, bro. Look at my early videos. They done shocking. They done shit. You just got to keep plugging away. They'll come, man. They'll come. I think you need to upload at least. This is just me. You don't have to do this, but I reckon you need to do about three or four videos a day, which is what I'm going to start trying to do. Because I think that's when you start getting the algorithms working in your favor. It's just what I think. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm doing now. Big up to Helen, big up to Darren, G-Man's Rocks, big up to Joe. Lads, if you could, smash the like button on the way out. Lads, I'll talk to you. I'll get some videos out for you tomorrow. Peace, lads.